An alleged human trafficker is expected to appear in the Springbok Magistrate's Court today. Leandre Merrill Williams Ayuk allegedly recruited two people under false pretenses to travel from Springbok in the Northern Cape to Cape Town. They were allegedly lured into a life of drugs and prostitution. The case is expected to be transferred to the Cape Town Regional Court. ENCA's Atim Tongana is there and joins us now for details on that particular case. So, Ati, this person is alleged to have been a recruiter. Give us the details of the court appearance that is expected to happen today.
Well, Thulasizwe, it's one of many organized crime cases that the Hawks are currently working with, particularly trafficking. Thulas, right now we are outside the Bellville Magistrate's Court, where another human trafficking case will be heard in the next few days. Now I'm joined by the Hawks to give us more details about these cases, which they seem to be working with and seemingly nailing the recruiters of this organized unit of trafficking. Now, Philani, you were just telling me off camera that you have several cases that you're dealing with regards to human trafficking that you're going to be dealing with specifically here in the Western Cape.
That's correct. Basically, last week there are 3 alleged recruiters that were arrested. They were allegedly linked to 3 cases of human trafficking. The one that will be heard today is actually the suspect was arrested in Springbok. She's a 35-year-old suspect. She allegedly recruited victims from Springbok to travel to Cape Town with the promise of job opportunities. Upon their arrival, they were coerced into a life of drugs and prostitution. So she was arrested and appeared that side. Her case for bail application is heard today in Springbok. It will be later referred to Cape Town. And the other cases, one is in Bellville, and the suspect will be appearing in this court tomorrow. It's also allegedly linked to recruiting. The other the alleged traffickers have already been arrested in all 3 cases.
Now, we were just talking also, Philani, about some of the promises that these recruiters make to these victims.
Well, the modus operandi is that in most trafficking cases, people, those that may not have employment, might be gullible to believe the lies that are fed by the alleged recruiters. They would promise them jobs and they would say, come to this place, come to Cape Town. And while Cape Town is one of the big cities, of course, employment opportunities, people would easily believe that. Upon arrival, they would be locked up and even be given drugs. So it's no different in these 3 cases that we're referring to, where we arrested 3 alleged recruiters. People would be kept against their will, given drugs, and once they are hooked on drugs, allowed to do business on the street because they are now hooked on drugs. And some of them managed to escape, and in one incident, in fact the one of Bellville, where suspect is appearing tomorrow, while on the street, she approached the law enforcement officer, explained the situation, and that's when we actually came to her rescue, and the matter was investigated. The trafficker was arrested.
Now, also, Philani, the fact that this case, some of these cases date back to last year, speaks to the fact that it is quite difficult to crack human trafficking because it is basically organized crime.
Yeah, quite right. Well, you also need to understand that 2 of these cases happened earlier this year, while 1 happened last year. The issue is that in most cases the victims are taken in for counseling, and the social development is assisting in that regard. And ordinarily you do not want to immediately interview victims because they're dealing with trauma. There's issues that you need to be considerate of. You need to consider, and then at a later stage, once the victim is quite calm, has received counseling, then you start interviewing, and effectively from then you carry on with the investigation, and hopefully you make the necessary arrest, which we did.
Now, lastly, Philani, before I let you go, the ages of these victims, could you give us an estimation so at least people may be aware what age is targeted by these recruiters?
Well, really, if you consider human trafficking, there isn't a specific age because anyone can be trafficked and anybody can be a trafficker as well. But on these specific incidents that we are investigating, where we've made arrest, the victims, they range between 26 and 37.
And what should people look out for? Because you did mention that they lure them by promising them jobs, and we know that South Africa is currently grappling with unemployment. What signs should people look out for?
Well, if there is a job, really, you need to have applied. And if maybe you are headhunted, just ensure you do your background research to ensure that, even traffickers, they are aware of this. Sometimes they would try to beat that process, but ensure that there are people it's a company that is known, a reputable company, I suppose. And otherwise, if it looks too good, it's probably too good.
All right, thank you very much. Philani from the Hawks here in the Western Cape, currently working on the human trafficking cases that will be heard at various courts here in the Western Cape, one here in Bellville and one at the Cape Town Magistrate's Court. Back to you in studio, Tulas.